Ukraine faces a World War II-level effort to clean up Russian munitions from the war. But now there is absolutely nothing to worry about as Ukraine's minesweepers are set to get their hands on one of the U.S. Army's Boston Dynamics-made Spot robot dogs to help clear mortar shells and cluster munitions. Now that's good news, isn't it? But how powerful are these dogs? And are they only to clean up mines, or do they have a hidden secret mission as well? Let's find out all the details. Hi and welcome to AI World News. Today we will be speaking about a robotic dog from Boston Dynamics getting a job in Ukraine. Please watch the video to find out all the details, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the bell notification. Robots and other digital tools are expected to be increasingly harnessed in wars, whether in changing the nature of combat itself or, as in this instance, stepping in to aid in cleanup operations that ensure civilians remain out of harm's way. Research and development into this latter use case are already well underway, with the U.S. Army currently funding the development of the Common Robotic System. Spot, the yellow robotic dog, developed by Boston Dynamics, has been used for all sorts of applications, from construction and cleaning up trash in parks to cheering at baseball games and helping SpaceX contain liquid nitrogen to various law enforcement functions. Boston Dynamics' website describes Spot as an agile mobile robot that navigates the terrain with unprecedented mobility, allowing you to automate routine inspection tasks and data capture safely, accurately, and frequently. Now Spot is heading to the conflict in Ukraine. But what exactly is Spot going to do in Ukraine? According to Foreign Policy, the U.S. Army is providing one of its two Spot models in order to assist an American nonprofit with mine and ordnance cleanup in Ukraine. Halo Trust, the nonprofit, will send Spot to areas near Kyiv formerly controlled by the Russians. Deploying a robotic arm in place of its head, Spot could help drag unexploded munitions, such as cluster bombs, to pits containing other munitions, allowing them to be safely exploded far from civilians in batches of up to 50 to 100 shells, and without endangering any of Halo's 10 teams that have been deployed in Bucha and Brovary, the Foreign Policy report said. In a test session last year, Spot worked well with small, volatile rounds, similar to those that have been seen throughout Ukraine. Whatley is hoping that will translate into dealing with cluster munitions that Russia has used indiscriminately in Ukraine, leaving behind bomblets that scatter all across the country. Deploying a robotic arm in place of its head, Spot could help drag unexploded munitions, such as cluster bombs, to pits containing other munitions, allowing them to be safely exploded far from civilians in batches of up to 50 to 100 shells, and without endangering any of Halo's 10 teams that have been deployed in Bucha and Brovary. While demoners can be trained in 6 weeks, many Ukrainian employees have scattered since the invasion. Some are stuck in Russian-occupied areas, and others enlisted in the military, including those in Mariupol and in the Donbas. That puts a premium on robotic help. If you can just move something without endangering a human, and move it far enough that you can take it to a place where it can be safely detonated with other items, you move up the curve massively, Whatley said. Boston Dynamics did not comment on the specific transfer of the robot dog to Halo Trust. In general, Spot is an effective tool for keeping people out of harm's way, and the robot is often used to inspect potentially hazardous materials from a safe distance. Nicola Knoll, the company's marketing and communications director, told Foreign Policy in an email. The company's terms and conditions prevent the robot from being weaponized or used for purposes of harm or intimidation, he added. The U.S. Army's Futures Command, which approved the transfer of the dog, did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Spot can be trained to automatically do repetitive tasks without human help, like turning switches on and off, but because the robot dog would be operating in less predictable environments, such as minefields and contaminated roads and fields, its human owners operated the dog manually in the training sessions last year. I would say within 10 or 15 minutes, we were able to regularly, safely pick up rounds and not have them drop out of the dog's mouth, Whatley said. It has become increasingly common for demoners to use robots in the field, such as wire-cutting machines and ground-penetrating radars, to extend their productivity and mitigate the risk of getting blown up in the field. Massachusetts state police units were loaned the Spot robot in 2019 to remotely observe suspicious areas or locations. The U.S. Army is funding the so-called Common Robotic System, a 25-pound tracked robot that can clear buildings of bombs and identify enemies for infantry squads before close combat, while other units favor the 6-wheeled man-transportable robotic system Increment 2, which can be operated by a handheld controller. The State Department provided funding for one group, the Swiss Foundation for Mine Action, to purchase 7-ton MV4 robots that can traverse mine-contaminated areas to clear vegetation that could conceal unexploded ordnance left behind from the fighting. The operator can sit back, about 50-odd meters, 100 meters back, said Anthony Connell, the country director for Ukraine at the Swiss Foundation for Mine Action. It can be fitted with a video camera system, so you can see pretty much to the front and the sides of the thing. And that's one way to deal with the tripwires. But the MV4 is not nearly as nimble as Spot. More than 6 feet wide, it can't fit between trees and heavily forested areas. For instance, Halo also received a remote-controlled RoboCut vegetation cutter. Think of a super high-tech lawn mower from the U.S. Army to support its work in the Donbas ahead of Russia's invasion, Watley said. So, how long can it take for Ukraine to be mine-free? An estimated 300,000 square meters of Ukrainian territory needed to be cleared of mines as of May 20, according to Ukrainian Deputy Interior Minister Maria Kopian. The country's Interior Ministry estimates that the task could take 5 to 10 years. The effort is particularly challenging as an estimated 2.8 million people have crossed back into Ukraine since the war began. They risk stepping on a mine or a booby trap hidden amid the rubble of their houses, anti-personnel and anti-vehicle mines, as well as other unexploded or abandoned ammunition left behind in Ukraine, threaten the lives of millions of people. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs stated they will take years to remove, hindering reconstruction efforts and making it unsafe for people to return to their previous daily lives. Now it is believed that the mines would be cleared in a span of 5 to 10 years. Robots could also help fetch Russian POM-3 anti-personnel mines, which can be seismically triggered on the ground from nearly 70 feet away, and which demoners believe is a novel weapon first unveiled on the Ukrainian battlefield after the Kremlin's full-scale invasion on February 24. Really, the only way to deal with it is using machines, Connell said. Larger weapons, such as anti-tank belts, that have been left over from Russia's failed siege of Kiev will likely need to be hauled away by teams or larger machines. Groups like Halo Trust had only just begun demining areas outside of Kiev, with ongoing fighting in the Donbas far beyond their reach. But Ukrainian civilians displaced by the conflict are already eager to come home. Demoners are worried that Russian troops have left booby traps and bombs in the rubble of homes caught up in the fighting, an effort to terrorize the Ukrainian population and deny them the ability to return home. That can be found in anything from household appliances, like washing machines, to children's toys. It's really just to say this is my visiting card. Thank you for having us, Connell said. It's straight terrorism. There's no other way to describe it. For Watley, Halo Trust Executive Director, who hopes to expand to 50 mine clearance teams in Ukraine by the end of 2022, makes the need for mine clearance robots like Spot all the more urgent. He said he could easily see his demoners fielding a pack of up to a dozen robot dogs. There are Ukrainian lives that could be saved yesterday, Watley said. Speaking of the demining effort, he said, it's on a scale like nothing since World War II. And this is it for today, guys. What are your thoughts on today's video? Share your views with us in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell. And thank you for watching.